Now it's time to connect the MongoDB database to our Express backend. So we go online and we go to npmjs.com. Over here we are going to search Mongoose. And we're going to get this one, which is Mongoose MongoDB ODM. Click on this and you can see we have to install it first. So let's go back to our backend and you can see I have the client and the server folder. So I'm going to just install the npm mongoose. So this is just random. Let's clear the screen and install it right here, npm I mongoose. If I do this, it installs the mongoose that we need to connect to the MongoDB database. Once it's done, what we're going to do is we're going to go back here and we're going to see that how do we get started. So basically it says you have to import these things. So using Node.js require, we use this, and using ES6 imports, we use import mongoose from import. So basically we're using this one, so we're going to have to copy this one, which is ES6 imports. Go up here and you're actually gonna, okay, so we're basically using Node.js one, my bad. So let's go back here and use this one instead, which is more common. Okay, so now let's go back here and we're gonna paste it right here. So const mongoose, we go to require mongoose, and over here what we have is the way we could connect to our database. So you could see that it says this thing and then it connects to the database like this. So let's just copy this part and let's go here. And normally I would put it on top and then we could say this is a slash and you could just put the database connection right here. Now this is just a random string. What we have to do is connect with an actual one. So what we have to do is right now the keyword is mongoose.connect and we put a connection string in here and then we put .then and we put this function which is arrow and we have console.log and then connected and then we have .error too. But right now, I mean .catch we have, not .error. So essentially what we want to do right now is create our connection string. Let's go to mongodb.com and log in. So I would recommend creating an account if you don't have one. Super simple. I'm going to use the Google OAuth authentication. We're going to have to implement this in our later video too, to allow people to create accounts using Google. And now what we're going to do is we're going to quickly, create one project here. It's super easy stuff here. So we go to new project and then over here what we do is we basically name our project. I'll call it as mern-blog. So this is the name of my project, just like how you can see the other project names. So essentially we create mern blog and then we have to create our owner. That's actually me. So you could add more existing members if you want. After that you want to add a database, so we have create a deployment and then click on deployment, and then after that we use the M0 which is free, and then we use AWS, use a region that is close to you. We're going to use that cluster name. We could name this cluster to anything we want, so I would just name my cluster to mern-blog. Okay, and then what we're going to do is optional tags, we don't need that, and we just create our database. So once it's done, we username and password. This is our username and this is our password. Make sure you save this somewhere because we're going to be using this. So I'm just going to copy and put it in a text file, and we also have our username. So I'm just going to have it up here. So this is the username. Okay, let's just put a 2 right here. Okay, so now we're done with that. We just create user, and then we have where do you want to connect from. You can use my local environment or the cloud environment. And we'll use the cloud environment here. Here's my IP address, and it just means that this only machine could access it, but we want to access it with every device, so we use this 0.0.0.0 and then we just add the entry. Now it's accessible. /0 means it's accessible everywhere, and then finish and close. Go to overview. Now we have done that. You could see that this is there, mern-blog. What we want to do is we want to go to the database section, and over here we want to connect. Okay, and then we go here to the drivers and we go to Node.js 5.5 later. We have to install MongoDB, so we're going to go back here and right here in the backend install MongoDB, npm install MongoDB, and then we're going to have to get this connection string. This is the connection string that we have. So we essentially now go to our this part, which is right here. So let me just first of all put it in here so you could easily understand it. So this is my connection string, what I got from MongoDB. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to correct this password with this password that I had over here. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it within this. Okay, so I'm going to paste it right here. Rest after that, everything looks good. And over here we have a slash. We use our cluster name, which is mern-blog. Okay, and you could basically add nothing and it's just going to add you anything you want, but I'm just keeping it with the same cluster name. Copy this string and put it right in here. So just paste it in here. So right here, just paste it right here. Okay, and now this should connect it. I mean, let's go and CLS here, npm run dev, and if it says connected, that means we have done it perfectly. So over here we have servers running on port 3000 and connected. So that means our database has been connected successfully, and we could go on to the next step. So basically we have connected the MongoDB, but what we want to do is we want to basically add it not like this, because this doesn't look good. We want to add it in a special way so that it doesn't have, you know, this connection string like that. So we basically put it in a .env. I create a new file over here and say .env, and over here I could name my thing as Mongo, whatever you could name it as, and just paste this entire connection string here. So I have it in my clipboard. I could just simply paste it like that. So now this is my connection string, right? So you want to do is you want to basically add that to your environment variable, and from there you want to call it. So from there, to call the connection string, it is super simple. What you do is you go and remove all this stuff, right? You don't even need the strings anymore, and you could just say process.env.mongo, the name of the environment variable. Now for this to work, it's actually not going to work until we use some package, and that package is called .env. So we have to go here, is, you know, you could see it crashed, so we got install that .env. So npm i.env. If we install this, we have to import it from here as well. So we have to import .env, you could say essentially we're using const, but the other way to do this is, you know, the ES6 way is import.env from env, but I'm going to consider it consistent. So const.env and is equal to require.env. Okay, and we're going to basically have .env config. So .env.config. If we do this now, we basically could connect to our database really smoothly. And we also want one more case here, .catch. And if there's an error, we want to log that error. So now I think we're good to go, and we could run this. Sorry, I randomly did that. I have to install, yeah, run dev. I have to, yeah. So now if I run it, you can see it's still connected. And instead of connected, let's just say MongoDB, MongoDB is connected. Okay, so save that, and now it looks more easier. Mongo, not Mongo. Okay, now that's good. We are done pretty much with database connection. We want to move on to the next part, which is basically we have to create a user model for our database. So to create a model, it's super easy. What we do is we create a folder here in the server, and we create a folder here, we call it models. Okay, and then inside the models folder, we create a user model, say user.model.js, nice way to say it. And for the model section over here, what we're going to do is you basically have to create the model. So it's easy to use, so you have to use mongoose here too as well. So import mongoose, we have from mongoose. This way is also valid. So you know, this way const express equal to require express, or import mongoose from mongoose are both valid imports. Okay, so essentially I'm gonna consider this way because it's just more ES6 way. What I believe it was over there. So you know, essentially, yeah, import way. So anyways, we're gonna go back here, and we're going to now create our schema. So const user schema is equal to new user schema, new mongoose dot schema, and in here what we do is we basically create our object. So in here, I'm going to put an object, and it would close with this round bracket like this. Okay. So over here we have username, and then we have the name of the user. So a person would be a string. Okay. And the field would be required. You have to give it, and you also have to make it unique. So this is actually a field for my database for a person, right? Person has a username, a person has an email. The email would be of type string, so like that, and then it would also be required, and it would also be unique. Okay, same thing goes for password, and that's a string as well, so type would be a string. And then we have required. And MongoDB is an unstructured database. Structured databases are like PostgreSQL, MySQL. So right now we have password, and then the last thing is, for now we're okay with these three things, and this is our entire object, right? So let me just cross this out over here. Okay, so this is our schema, and we want to close this out. The thing is, we essentially have the comma here after the object, and over here we could just say timestamps true. This means it's going to create two additional fields. One is created at and updated at. Those are just telling us when the object was created and when it was last updated, so that we could use it to basically do further things with our model. And we could sort it, and based on how old it is or anything like that. So now we have to just export it. So user model is equal to mongoose.model, mongoose.model, like that, and then we put the user model. So user, and basically I put user instead of users because MongoDB you'll see automatically will add US inside, and over here would be the user schema, what we did. Okay, and then we export it using export default user. So this is the entire model. That's all we had to do, and that's pretty much it. So now that's when we go back and create a test API route. So the test API route would be super easy, and you would basically have MongoDB connected. Okay, so what we want to do is you see this express. Wait a minute. So you see this app express. So generally I would recommend having. Okay, so let me just go back here. So you see this express. What I would recommend is have this app initialization alt and bring it down after this connection. Okay, so basically you're creating this afterwards. You connect it first, and you create the app, and then you use it. Okay, so now what we want to do here is we want to use this. You see this, it's listening to alt and bring it up here. So it's listening to port 3000, and what we want to do is we want to actually use it with basically an express or anything option. So initially what you want to do is you want to see app.get, and if I say like /test, like normally what you're seeing up there. So if I say /test, and then if I say request and response, hello from Node API, we'll say, this is how you created hello test from test API. Okay, so this is normally what you're saying. When you run it, so it's running, you go to the place over here, so localhost port 3000. So if I go and /test it, this is my default one. You can see hello from test API. But we want to do is better structure. This is not a good structure at all. What you want to do is, instead of having all of it all in index.js, because you don't want all of your APIs to be in index.js, right? So what you do is, instead of app.get, you want app.use. And you essentially, first of all, say a convention. A convention is like this, /API /user, and then from user you would have test, okay? So we create a user route, and user route would be actually added. So I'm just going to add it quickly. So over here we have, let me just comment this out. So what we have here is .get, and then in here we have /test, right? We have to create this route. So and then we have this controller. You see this function? This is called a controller. So we have to create separate folders here. Go to the server, and you could see over here we have the models. So we create another folder here called routes, and inside of this folder again, we'll create another folder here again, which is called controllers. Okay, so the first one, which is routes, in the routes folder we're going to create user.route.js. okay, so in the user.route.js, what we're going to do is import express from express. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to use it with the capital express, which is const router is equal to express router, and then over here we're going to use router.get, and then over here we're going to use /test. okay, and then we're going to basically call, you could use request and response, and you could use this hello from what was it called, test API. Yeah, so instead of that we could just say hello from test. Okay, so this would automatically work. Okay, I think this is I missed something from here. Yeah, single quotes. Okay, so this would normally work. The thing is you have to export it from here. So right here you have export default router, and you'll have to import it here. So you want to import the user route, so essentially you would have it imported here. So const, so basically it's const user route require user.route and then .js. Right here what you do is require /routes and then user.route.js. That's basically how you do it. It's still crashed. I don't know why. Let me just see what's the reason. Okay. Okay, so it's still basically not working. Oh yeah, so user route, it's working, right? Dot slash. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's the path is not set properly. So if I look over here, user route is going to require, and then we have routes. So the routes folder is in here, and where are we? Index.js. So I think what we have to do is I think the path is okay. User.route.js. Yeah, it is this route. Import express from express. And we have const router is equal to express router. Okay. Okay. I don't know. You had to read the error message. So right here we have an error message. You have normally have to read it. So it says over here, import express from express. Cannot use import statement outside of module. So it's user.route.js. So import express from express. Let me look at that. I think what we're const express. I think this one is the reason. And if I maybe it crashed and restart it. Okay, so it says over here, user.route line 9 export default router. Unexpected token export. Okay, there was actually one important thing that I had to include in the package.json. So if we go to the package.json folder, if we go to the package.json, you see over here we have main index.js, right? and we have description, which is nothing. And then over here we would basically add a type, and then over here would be module. Okay, this would mean that we could actually use ES6 standard and it wouldn't crash. So we have user. Okay, instead of const, let's just use import express. I like import statements. Yeah, so let's just consider it like that. Okay, so yeah. There's some reason for it to crash again and again. So it says over here now, require is not defined in ES module. We're going to use import instead. This file is being treated as an ES module because it has a .js file extension. Type module to treat as common. CJS. Import express. This is a problem. We had to consider it like one standard, to be honest. Import express from express. I mean, it turns off, it doesn't restart. Which file are you even talking about? Index.js. Okay. Got it. We're gonna have to change every file now. Index.js, if you look into the index.js, you see this? We'll have to change all of this to import express, from express, import mongoose. Okay, so you can see over here. Okay, it restarts and then it crashes again because it's saying now mongoose. So basically when I change that to module, if you look over here, package.log, this you should have done in before type equal to module. Now we're using ES6 standards. So we're going to use import instead of const. Okay, so import mongoose from mongoose, import .env, okay, from .env. So essentially we're using this instead of all that. Okay, so now we have user route. So import, we're going to use import over here as well. Import user route from route and okay, yeah. So now what we're going to do is we have dot. Okay, the path is dot. I don't know. Okay, you couldn't find module. Okay, so user route from which file is this? Routes. Look over here. Server. Routes. User.route.js. Yep. This is important. It's going to give you constant errors if you don't connect it. And now it's finally connected. Now, if you go back here and you basically try to test this API now, you cannot get it, right? But it would go API/user/test. And now it says hello from test. Perfect. And, it finally worked.